Hello everyone, I am Dr. M.K. Vidya Lakshmi, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Computing, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. The course name is Programming for Problem Solving and the course code is U20 CSE J01. And the topic for today's lecture is Array as Arguments to the Functions and Recursive Functions. So as a first topic, we will see how the arrays are going to be passed as arguments of a function. So arrays can be passed in three different ways as an parameter to the function. The first way is passing the array element. That is, each array element is going to be passed individually as an parameter to the function. And in the second case, we are going to pass the array as full array as a parameter to the function. In the third case, by passing the pointer as an argument to the function. So in the first case, that is, we are going to pass the array element as a parameter to the function. So let us consider a function. It has a main function and we have defined an array named as age array, which is going to store 4 values of ages of 4 different persons. Then in our program, there is a function known as display. This display is a function which is used to show the elements of the array, any 2 elements of the array. So we have to pass the array name with this subscripts as an arguments to this function. So when we pass the array and its name a subscript as the function, so the values are going to be passed. For example, in this case, the age array of 0. So here the subscript represents the first element. So the first element of this array is going to be passed into the function. And for the second one, age array of 1, which represents the second element, because the index always starts from the 0. So the second element is going to be passed as an argument to this function. So by doing this, we are passing 2 different values into this function as a parameter. So in the function definition, so when this function is called, directly the compiler goes to the function definition. In the function definition, we have defined the formal parameters of these functions as some variables. Since we are going to pass only the values in this function, we are going to define the array and its parameter. We are going to define the function with its parameters as the variables. So in this case, it will pass, the array elements which are passed into this function will be passed to the variable age1. So that is 2 will be passed to age1 and 8 will be passed to age2. So in this definition, we have asked the compiler to print the values of age1 and age2. So as an output, it is going to print the values of the first element and the second element of the array. So output we will get 2 and 8. So in this example, we have seen that how the individual elements of this array are going to be passed as an parameters of this function. Okay. Next, in the second case, we are going to see how the full array is going to be passed as an argument to the function. So in this case, we have a main function. In the main function, we have declared the array which is named as age. So it contains 4 different numbers. So our aim is to find out the sum of all the numbers which are present in the array. For that, we are going to use a function known as calculate sum. So for calculate sum, we are going to pass an array as a argument. In the like a previous case, we are not going to pass the individual elements. Instead, we are directly going to pass the name of that array as a reference, which means it is going to pass when we give the name of the array, it means the whole array will be passed into this function. So in the function definition, we have we are defining this function definition calculate sum as the parameter is going to be an array. So we need to declare this, we need to define this formal parameter as an array, because we are going to pass the whole array as an actual parameter in this function call. We need to define the parameter as an array in the case of function definition. That's why we have defined this age as an array. So this age is going to be passed to this function. So the age name is going to be passed into this function, and in turn it will return the it will pass all the elements into this function. And when going to the function definition, we are calculating all the values, sum of all the values of the array. So by using this for loop and the this calculation, sum is equal to sum plus age of I. For every I, when incrementing, it will go to the next element and it will add the values and will give the result as sum. So the output will be the sum of all the numbers in the array. So the age. Next, in the case of the same case, we can have multi-dimension array also as a function, as a parameter to the function. Previous case, we have assigned a single dimension array as a function, as an parameter to this function. In the second case, we can also pass a multi-dimension array as a parameter to the function. So in this case, we have declared an array named as num, which is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. To enter the values of 2 by 2 matrix, the user is going to give the values of this matrix. So we are going to use two different for loops and this scanf to get the inputs from the user. And whatever the values which user is going to give us an input, that will be stored in the num matrix. So this num matrix is going to be a 2-dimension array. So in Max it is called as a matrix, but here we'll say that as a 2-dimension arrays. Okay. Then after that, we are calling the a function known as display numbers. We are just going to print whatever is the number which is there inside the array in the form of a matrix. For that, we are going to call a function known as display numbers. To this function, we are going to pass num, that is nothing but the name of this array, 2-dimensional array. So that name is going to be passed as an argument to this function known as display numbers. So in the function definition, we have defined this parameter as a 2-dimension array. So because since this number is going to be a full array, so we need, in the definition we need to specify that as a 2-dimensional array. So using the for loop and the printf statement, we are going to vary the values of I and j, that is rows and columns. By using this I and j values, we can print the values of the arrays. That is, we are going to print the values of the elements of this array. So 1 1, that is num 1 1, that is the first row, first column, it will be 2, and first row, second column, it will be 3. Second row, first column, it will be 4, and second row, second column will be 5. So all these 4 numbers will be displayed in the screen. So that is our program here. So the thing we need to do here, we should understand here is, we are passing the num as an full array here, and in the function definition as well as in the function declaration, we need to specify it as a 2-dimension array. In the previous case also, we need to specify the array as a in the previous case we are defined this parameter as a single dimension array. So we need to give that parameter as a single dimension array. Next is another way of passing the array pointer to the function. So in this case, we are going to pass the array pointer. So let us take this example. So we have a main function. We have defined an array which is known as numbers. It contains 5 elements and 5 integer numbers are inside this array. So we are going to find out the sum of all the numbers. So the sum is going to be my function, and the arguments which we are going to pass to this functions are the full array, which is known as the numbers. So numbers is going to be my first argument, and the size of that array is going to be my second argument. So in the function definition, we have defined that sum and the parameter as the first parameter is going to be a pointer to the array. So because we are going to just give the array name, which is nothing but the reference of this number. Okay, so it is going to give the address of this array. So we are going to give the parameter as a pointer, and integer and the size of that array is going to be passed as another argument. So using these two, so using the for loop and the total, we are going to find out the sum of all the numbers inside the array. So this function will return the values of the sum to the main function, and we will have the value of sum1 as the output. So the output will be, so the output we will get the sum of all the numbers. See, in this case, what we have to see is, since we are going to pass the whole array as a numbers, we need to specify the pointer. So this represents the reference of this array. Next concept we are going to see is recursive function. So let us first define what is meant by recursive function. In general, recursive is nothing but repeating any action again and again. That is called as recursive function. In a programming language, if a program allows to call a function inside the same function, then it is called as recursive call of the function. That is the definition of the recursive function. So in a program, when a function calls the same function by itself, it is called as recursive function. So where it is used? So recursive functions are very helpful in solving the mathematical problems, particularly for factorial of a number and for generating the Fibonacci series. For these cases, this recursive function is very helpful, because in these problems, we are going to use the same action repeatedly. So we'll see that in the later part of this lecture. So what is the syntax of this recursive function? So as I told you, recursive function is nothing but calling the function by itself. So we are going to call the function by the same function. Okay. So it has a main function. We know that main function is going to be the mandatory for all the C program. So every function has to be called inside the main function. So here also it is going to apply here. So we are going to call the recursive function inside the main function. So that will be our initial call for the recursion function. Okay. So when this function is called, it goes to the function definition. In the case of function definition, we have a function call inside the function definition. That function call will be for the same function. See here, this is also recursion and this is also recursion. So the function calls itself, the recursion function calls the function itself by for many times. That is going to be our syntax for this recursion function. Okay, so let us see what is the basic structure of a recursive function. So a recursive function will have the basic structure like this. First, it will have the function definition, as it will have an if condition with some statements which has to be followed when the if condition has to be satisfied. And In the second part, we have the else condition and some set of statements which has to be executed once this else condition is satisfied. Okay. So first, the condition is called as the recursive procedure. Whichever we need to do it again and again, that is, the repetition of the function calls will be obtained with this condition. Okay, so the repeated function calls should be progressed in such a way that each time a recursive call is made, it comes closer to the base criteria. Okay, so that is the condition here. Whenever until the base condition is satisfied, we need to repeatedly call the function again and again inside the function. So that is going to be the condition for the else. So usually the base condition, that is, there should be some stopping condition, right? So when otherwise the loop goes infinite. So there should be always a base condition to stop the recursion. That is, the function should stop calling its own function by satisfying this condition. That condition is going to be called as base condition. Okay, so when this condition is met, the function stops calling itself recursively. Okay, so let us first see the simple example for a recursion function, how it works. So let us, we have seen a basic structure, right? So in that we had an if condition as well as an else condition. So in the if condition, base condition has to be satisfied. In that case, it will come out of this loop. Okay. What about else? If this condition fails, it is going to take the another function. Okay. So let us consider a main function. Okay. So int n is equal to 3 is the parameter which is going to be passed into the function. So printf %3. Here we are going to call a function which is known as fun. Okay, so fun is going to be my function name, and I'm going to pass the parameter n, which is nothing but the 3, which is inside this main function. So when a compiler first sees a function call, what it will do? It is going to make an activation record inside a stack. Let us consider this as a stack, and each time when the compiler sees a function call, it is going to maintain a stack activation record. So for first, the compiler sees a main function. So for the main function, the compiler maintains the activation record. What does this activation record will have? It will have the parameters inside the function. So in this case, the variable n is equal to 3 is my parameter, and it is going to be saved in the activation record. Okay. Then once this function is passed, when this parameter is going to be passed to this function call, in that case, my function call will be fun of 3. So when the compiler sees this function call, it is going to make the activation record for this function 3 over the main function. Okay, so this activation record will be having the parameter n is equal to 3, which is going to be passed as an argument to this function. So this activation record will maintain that n is equal to 3. So when the compiler sees this function call, it goes to the function definition. So in the function definition, we are going to pass this n is equal to 3. So fun of 3 will be first sent here. So what is the condition here? First, it will check whether n is equal to 1, right? So what will happen? This n is not equal to 1, right? So we have passed n is equal to 3. So this condition is going to fail. So the else part will be executed. In the else part, we have return 1 plus fun of 3 minus 1 will be 2. So fun of 2 will be the next function call for this function. So this is a function. Inside that function, we are again calling, but with different parameter. So in this case, the parameter will be n minus 1. That is 3 minus 1. It will be 2. Fun of 2 will be called. So when the compiler sees this function call, what it is going to see? It is going to it is going to maintain a activation record which is known as for n is equal to 2, fun of 2. So n is equal to 2 will be the parameter which is going to be used for this activation record. Okay, so once this function is called, it again goes to the function definition. So here now the parameter is going to be 2, fun of 2. Okay, then again it comes to here and it will check whether n value is equal to 1. So in this case also n is not going to be our 1. So the condition fails and it comes to the else part. So in the else part, again return 1 plus fun of. So here we have no n minus 1 is no. So 2 minus 1 will be 1. So the fun of 1 is going to be my function call here. So when the compiler sees the fun of 1, it maintains an activation record with the parameter n is equal to 1. Okay. So with this, again, with this function call, it is going to the function definition. In the function definition, fun of 1 will be passed. So it will check for the condition whether if is equal to 1. Yes, here in this case, the n value is our 1. So this condition is satisfied. So what it happens, it will return the value of 1 to this function. So when it returns the value of 1 in this function, so what happens to this activation record? This activation record will be closed or it will be popped out. So what will happen? It will come out of the that activation record and it goes to the next one. So when it returns, it will return the value of 1 here. So in this statement, the return of 1 plus 1, which will be returned 2. So for this function call, it will be returning the value of 2 here. So for function 2, when it is over, it will pop out of this activation record with n is equal to 2. So it will come. So it will be just popped out. Okay. So in the function 3, next is once it returns this this fun of 2 is returned. So the next thing is fun of 3. So fun of 3 will be returning the value of n is equal to 3 in this case. So it will, the activation function of the activation record will be popped out and we will finally have n is equal to 3. So this is the only value which is after all this recursion has happened, it will, the value of n returned is going to be the 3. So that will be returned for this function. So it is going to print the value of n is equal to 3. So this is the concept of recursive function. So initially it is going to maintain an activation record in the stacks, and every time when the function calls is repeatedly used, all this activation records will be placed above one by one in the stack, and every time it returns, all the activation records will be popped out and we will get the remaining thing. So this is a concept of recursive function. So let us see an example problem. So here the problem is going to be, we are going to calculate the factorial of a given number. So generally factorial of a given number is factorial of 1 is 1. Factorial of 2 is 2 into factorial of 1. So factorial of 3 is 3 into factorial of 2. So likewise, when a factorial of n has to be found out, we have to multiply n with the factorial of n minus 1. This is going to be our mathematical function for mathematical calculation for calculating the value of factorial. So in this case, we can see that when we pass some number, it is repeatedly asking this. Okay, so when 2 for while we are asking for factorial of 5, it is calling factorial 4. So when you are using this factorial 4, it is calling factorial of 3. So when we are calculating for factorial 3, it is calling the factorial of 2. So this recursive function is clearly seen in this problem. So let us go to the problem. So here the stopping condition is going to be my base condition, which is nothing but I have to check in the if condition whether the n value is going to be 1 or not. That is going to be my stopping condition, because when we further recurse this one, it will subtract the value of n and it will go in negative answer. So we have to stop here, otherwise it will go, the recursive will be going in an infinite way. So we need to stop that one. So for the base condition, going to be fact of 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so the second condition, as I told you, the recursive condition is going to be n star fact of n minus 1. So this factor, so this condition has to be repeated. That is, we need to repeatedly call this function inside the another function when this condition is going to be satisfied. So let us see the program for recursive function. Let us consider the main function. We are going to use a variable n as an input from the user. We are going to get the value of n from the user. For that, we are using scanf function and we are going to get the inputs from the user. So for this n value, we need to find out the factorial. So the factorial of that number is going to be got from the user, and we are going to find out the factorial number using a recursive function known as multiply numbers. Okay, so the multiply numbers is going to be my recursive function, and it is going to accept n as a parameter for this function. Okay, so in this, if you see here, in this recursive function, we have if condition, right? In the if condition, we need to specify whether if n is equal to 1. Okay, if the condition is satisfied, we have to return 1. Else, we have to use the recursive condition. Recursive condition is, in the previous case, the recursive condition is n star fact of n minus 1, right? So if here we are going to use the same condition, n star. So this is going to be my recursive function. Okay, so this function is called inside the another function, and that function and the number it has to be passed is n minus 1. Okay, so inside the function, we are going to call the same function with the different parameter. Here the parameter is going to be n, and here the parameter is going to be n minus 1. So let us see what happens if you are going to execute this one. So first we are, suppose if we are giving the sample value as n is equal to 5. So what it will do, first this 5 will be passed into the function named as multiply numbers, and that will be passed to the function definition. So in the function definition, what it will check? First, it will check whether the condition is going to be satisfied. N value is equal to 1. Is it correct? No, the condition is wrong. So in that case, what it will do, it is going to execute else part. So else part, we have n star multiply numbers n minus 1. So n is here 5. So 5 will be multiplied with multiply n minus 1. That is 4. So we will get the else part condition, and that will be executed. Okay. So once this function, that is multiply numbers of 4, is called, in that case, it will again go to the function definition, and it will check whether n value is going to be 1 or not. No, in this case also the n value is not going to be 1, because it is going to be a 4 value. So again, the else part is going to be repeated. So in this case, n will be 4, and this n minus 1 will be 3. So there will be a function call for the multiply numbers of 3. Okay. So after that, once this executed, again it will go to the function definition, where the argument passed is going to be 3 here. So when for multiply numbers of 3, so the output, the condition is not satisfied, again else part is going to be executed. In that case, it will be 3 star multiply n minus 1 will be 2. So in this case, we are going to call the function multiply numbers of 2. Okay, so when again it goes to the function definition, and at last we are going to have that is 2 multiply with numbers multiply numbers of 1. So here 1 is going to be passed as an argument here. So once this multiply numbers of 1 is called, in that case, it is going to return the value as 1, right? So once this condition is satisfied, that is here only the condition is going to be satisfied as n is equal to 1. In all the previous cases, since this n is not equal to 1, it is not going to return. It is just going to use the function recursively, that is repeatedly. So we are calling the function repeatedly using n minus 1. Okay, once this condition is the base condition is satisfied, the function will come out of the loop. So what it will return? It will return the value as 1 here. Okay, so once the 1 is returned to this function, it will multiply 2 into 1 will be multiplied. And in the second case, here it will return the value of 2. So 2 will be multiplied with 3. So and then it will multiply with 4, and then it will be multiplied with 5. So if I give 5, so the functions will multiply 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, and the answer will be displayed. Okay, so this is called as the concept of recursive function. So in this lecture, we have seen how the arrays are used as an parameters inside the function, and we have learned the recursive function and how it is going to use the to solve the problem like factorial of a number. Thank you.